So, in my social epidemic video, I talked about how, we have a lot of communication problems in this day and age, and how it's affected all areas of life. And one of those areas of life is love. I wanted to deviate and do more on that, but I think that that's such a huge conversation, which I really don't want to approach actually. But I did want to take a look at what I consider to be one of the biggest issues that we're seeing in the way of love in the 21st century that we're in. So I don't know why I said it like I'm from the 1800s, but that's fine. Um, so one of the biggest, arguably, issues with love nowadays is that there seems to be a lot of non-commitment. And by the way, I mean all types of love, but mostly romantic, but it could be any, like it could be friends, it's this. I feel like this applies as much to friends as it does romantic. um there is non-commitment is a really, really big issue, as well as people leaving, people um breaking up, people divorcing over almost anything and everything nowadays. I know that our divorce rates are the highest it's ever been in the US. It's the highest it's ever been throughout history. Um, and a lot of what I use, sometimes I read articles, but sometimes I just like to peruse through Reddit because it might sound funny, but it does give me a good gauge on how a lot of people post about their relationship problems, or how to understand like a certain conversation or argument or whatever. And so it kind of gives a really good idea in how the common way of thought in today's day and age, because, the way in which we think about things both on a personal level and on a societal level changes over time. So I think that Reddit is honestly kind of a good gauge of that, to a degree, anyways. So what I see a lot on Reddit is, I think it's like an ongoing joke on there that you'll if you ask for any relationship advice, they'll just say break up with the person. That's the go-to. And um that is a very, very common thing that people on Reddit say. But I also think that that is indicative of how we also kind of think about things as a society, as far as when it comes to love. It's kind of a lot easier to honestly just get rid of someone and just move on and find something else, someone else. And I think that kind of relates back to the topic, about how we kind of approach people with this same idea of how we approach social media. We've been now, what's the word I'm looking for? Conditioned to kind of look at life a lot through that lens, unfortunately. And I think we look at people through that lens and it's like, if I'm not feeling you, I'll just unfollow and I'll just, find someone else or something like that. I really do feel like it's something that we have conditioned ourselves. And in fact, actually, when I did hear other people talk about this issue, a lot of people say one of the scariest and biggest threats with dating is that people just kind of have this non-committal, nonchalant attitude of basically you can always find something or someone better. Almost even holding out with a person that um they connect with really well. We see this with the rise of the idea of like short-term dating or casual dating or situationships and stuff like that. The fact that now situationships is like a coined term in a way in which people actually, you can literally be in a situationship. It's not like to describe something that's like it's complicated. No, straight up, we are in a situationship until we either break up or call it official. And I'm like, wow, this is wild. Now, granted, that might be more of like a high school thing. I don't know. It's still wild in my opinion. Anyways, so the non-committal aspect I think is really interesting to discuss because I think the reason why I think it's like cyclical. The reason why so many people are non-committal is one because of being conditioned by social media that you can always find something better. Two, the fact that you don't know if the other person is going to actually commit. Unfortunately, I don't know why we don't just discuss it, but the fact that you really never know if this person is like a ride or die is going to go through the storm with you, or are they just here until I find something better? You don't know. So I feel like it makes people kind of a little more hesitant to give and to really like stick with the person, stick through the situation. But all of this, I'm just yapping. This isn't even what I wanted to discuss. What I wanted to discuss was another really big issue that I see with love nowadays. And it kind of ties into the non-committal, and it also ties into just breaking up over anything, divorcing over anything. And what I realized is that, well, yes, people are, I'll just say divorcing for this part of the video. People are divorcing over things that it just, to me, is personally shocking. Like to go through all of the steps you had to get married. It frankly shocks me. I've seen people divorce over, um, you know, social media. Like it's like someone has some view of social media and then the other person says like, no, I don't like you like posting like that or whatever, and they can't handle it and they divorce, or at least talk about divorce. And I'm like, really? Okay, well, I guess that's just where we're at. But the layer I want to peel back isn't so much that people are divorcing or breaking up or whatever over nothing. It's that they're getting together with someone in the first place over a false idea of what they called love or what they called compatibility or something like that. So I was kind of just like sitting with the idea of what is love? Like, how do we define love? There's so many different definitions, which can be a good thing, but also can be a little bit of an issue because it's like, well, if there's so many definitions, then there's nothing solid that we can like all agree on. Yep, that's love. Anything short of that. And I realized that this is a really big thing and has been for forever, but like even more so is the romanticization of love and what is it called? Infatuation. We can get so infatuated with someone that we think that we really like them, or we're compatible, or we love them even, and truthfully we just like the way they look, or we just vibe with them on a certain level, and we've now kind of deceived ourselves into thinking that we've loved them. So for me, I think that the big issue with love nowadays is that not only do we not have a standard, and it's even more skewed now that we're so non-committal. um I think that we're calling things, and we have for a while called things love that aren't love, that weren't love. My personal takeaway from love is that there is no such thing as true love without a sacrifice. That's the hallmark of actually loving someone, is are you willing to sacrifice for them? Whatever the relationship is, whether it be husband and wife typically, but it could be other things as well. Um I believe that there has to be some sort of standard, otherwise it's very subject to, whatever you think, whatever you feel. And feelings are super deceptive, right? Feelings can make you think, dang, that person was so it one day, and then the next day you're not even feeling it, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, what's wrong with them? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with, everything? So I just feel like nowadays we have such a skewed idea originally of kind of what love is. We get caught up in the feelings, we get caught up in the outside appearance, we get caught up in all that stuff. And so we've misappropriated the term um love to just mean like, oh, like, you're nice to me, you're sweet to me, you've been better than anyone I've known in the past. And then when all of the, they say the honeymoon phase, when it all wears off, you realize, wait, I don't want to actually commit to this person. I don't want to actually like sacrifice for this person or anything like that. I don't love this person. And it's not that, oh, all of a sudden you just didn't love them. Because I mean, personally, I just feel like the idea of just someone loving you one day, truly, truly meaning it, and then the next day, so to speak, not, is just the most scary. Like, if that's true, then love really is a scam, as some people say, a neurological con job. Okay. Like, it's just not cool, like, if that's the case, because that's really terrifying to think about. But I think love is just maybe a little bit deeper than all of us really realize or understand. Um, all of us have had bad and good experiences with any kind of love. And we all learn love from our parents and the people who raised us and influenced us, and they're not perfect. So their way of loving is going to filter into your way of loving. Both of y'all are flawed people, and you know, and then we take it as a standard of love without ever really wanting to like go deeper and like try and learn, like, where we get it wrong with love, or where we get it right with love, or whatever the case is. So in conclusion, all I'm saying is that I think that instead of it being like, oh, love is scary because one day someone could love you and then the next day they don't. It's not really so much that as it is, in the first place, did they really even love you? And that sounds kind of terrible actually to say, but truthfully, maybe that'll set someone free, and it's like, oh, okay, well, it wasn't love in the first place. I don't know, but that's just my personal take on it. Yeah.